Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector is the kind of sequel you hope for. It holds fast to the narrative and character-centered core of the original, while expanding on the gameplay to introduce a greater sense of accomplishment when you succeed, and dread when failure seems imminent or finally catches up to you. The player is thrown into new circumstances with a greater feeling of having chosen this course of action, as opposed to following along as events find them. And while I did end up wishing for more opportunities to interact with some of the more minor members of your growing ship's crew, that longing for more speaks to the strength of Starward Vector more than anything else. Both games in the Citizen Sleeper series explore the complexity of human relations on the fringes of a decaying system. Unlike zombie fiction that imagines how human beings succumb to their darkest impulses to survive under desperate circumstances, the space cyberpunk world of Citizen Sleeper explores how human connection endures through hardship and struggle. It is not that trust is easier in the world of Citizen Sleeper. There is simply no path forward in the Belt without common cause and mutual reliance. But there is a real, tangible weight to that responsibility, and knowing there are people who rely on you. But where Citizen Sleeper's narrative explores these themes as the player character dealt with the domino effect of trying to survive on a single space station, Starward Vector is about the directions you take yourself, and benefits immensely from this shift. Traveling between multiple stations and settlements on board your rig lends a level of freedom and sense of autonomy despite the pursuit of the game's primary antagonist, Lane. Ultimately, the resulting storylines of building connections around the social and labor centers of the Belt to meet new characters who, conveniently, have something of grave importance connected to the Belt going on remains the same. But the feeling here is of you finding problems to take on instead of the problems finding you. Gameplay-wise, the increased challenges of the game's TTRPG-inspired dice system add a wonderful sense of dread and careful management to your various contracts and jobs. Rather than managing just time and resources, you now must manage your stress as well, since increased stress levels can result in dice breaking and leaving you without that crucial 5th or 4th roll necessary to complete a job before time or resources run out. Balancing this is the ability for you to bring 2 crew members who all have their specific strengths and weaknesses along with you to complete jobs. And in a game so concerned with human connections, the characters need to shine. Which they do, thanks to tight writing and beautiful character art. Bliss, a returning character from the original Citizen Sleeper, was always my first pick for a mission. Their earnest kindness always felt like a perfect foil to Seraphin, your often sour and rightfully cautious fellow fugitive and closest friend, whose constant faith in you is the heart of the game. While it never became an actual pain point while playing, I often found myself on a mission where neither of the people I brought along was any help. In Starward Vector, if you or a crewmate doesn't have a particular stat, they suffer a huge penalty when attempting to complete jobs that require that stat. The rising stress of repeated failures produced can take a crewmate out entirely and damage all your remaining dice at the most crucial moment. Since missions don't necessarily hint at what skills will be necessary, I often ended up choosing the characters I liked so I could see their opinions and thoughts during dialogue. If their skill set ended up being helpful after that, it was a nice bonus. I can't wrap this up without putting the spotlight on the sound design of Starward Vector. From the ethereal and introspective music to the various event-triggered motifs, Starward Vector sounds like nothing else. I mean, Just listen to the paper sound when you enter a text sequence. This is a world full of cobbled together systems, beeping and chiming and put together by hands and sweat. To have text sequences, a crucial part of the game, be accompanied by the sound of paper passing across a desk makes this feel like a world where people live and work, and one you can almost reach out and grab a hold of. Overall, Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector doesn't do anything that could be called revolutionary compared to the first game, but that doesn't mean that the changes that are introduced aren't meaningful in terms of both story and gameplay. Starward Vector didn't need the addition of voice actors or cutscenes or combat to hit all the right notes of a sequel. Lead creator, designer, and writer Gareth Damian Martin deserves his flowers for building into Citizen Sleeper's strengths instead of building outwards. The result is a rigorously paced space adventure that knows what it wants to say and how to say it.